Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Camper Report. We've got Niners versus Cardinals game breakdown. Earlier in the week, I kind of broke down what the 49ers did right versus the Seahawks, the different matchups that they exploited. Um, Today, I'm going to basically focus on this 49ers versus Cardinals breakdown, kind of how they can exploit the Cardinals on offense and defense. I'm going to bring up some stats about Kyler Murray for you guys to kind of get a good breakdown of him. And then, real quick, before I get into all of that, I do want to say later on, I'll be coming out with a Brandon Staley breakdown down on how the Chargers fired him and kind of breaking that down, that firing down. And then hopefully, if you guys see this early enough, I'll in another video maybe look for some game breakdowns on other games. But for right now, we're going to stick with the Niners versus Cardinals for this week. Before I get another thing, before I get started, one other thing. I'm coming up with t-shirt ideas for when I do get my website up and running. So if you guys want to comment your t-shirt ideas that you have for the show, it can be anything about anything, just kind of related to football. And the first 5 commenters will get a chance at winning a t-shirt for free when they do eventually drop. So get those in the comments. I really want to hear that. And yeah, so let's get kind of started with the keys, the just kind of what the Niners need to do right versus this Cardinals team for them to get the win. Let's go. And also, I mean, this is kind of pertaining to how the 49ers avoid an upset, because they've had 2 really, really, really good wins against the Eagles and Seahawks. But now next week they play the Ravens, and that's kind of a big game. The Ravens are the best team in the AFC. The Ravens right now, from all things considered, they're the 49ers' top competition. And so the 49ers might be looking ahead to this game. How do the 49ers avoid an upset versus the Cardinals? Because they'll be looking ahead to the Ravens game. And I'll tell you guys exactly how they do that. So let's get to 49ers offense has been elite. This is how they match up versus the Cardinals. Brock Purdy, 3 out of 4 games, he's had a 120 plus QB rate. That basically the highest QB rate that you can have is 153. So he's had almost a perfect quarterback rating 3 out of 4 weeks. So he's been on a tear. Don't expect his production versus the Cardinals to really get any worse. The Cardinals, I'm not really afraid of their defense at all. They've been 30th for points per game allowed. They're 23rd with yards per game allowed on defense, and points per game they're allowing over 25 points per game allowed. So they're one of the worst in both of those categories. I would not be surprised if the 49ers score a lot of points in this game. I feel like Kyle, like looking back to the previous few weeks that the Niners they played really good offense the last few weeks. I feel like Kyle has kind of found a key to his offense the last few weeks, especially how to spread the ball around, because the Niners have so many playmakers. Who do you use? Well, Kyle has especially the last few weeks, I've really found Kyle has found a way to kind of get it to all of his playmakers: McCaffrey, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. So all his playmakers are getting involved, and he's kind of tricking people, because before last week, when people were mainly covering and double covering Brandon Ayuk because they were expecting him to go deep and them to try to hit him deep. But what did Kyle do last week? He said, everyone's expecting me to go deep with Brandon Ayuk. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go deep with Debo Samuel. I'm going to make Debo Samuel a deep threat. And Debo Samuel in the past has never been a deep threat, but Kyle found a way to say, I'm going to use Brandon Ayuk as a decoy, and then I'm going to put Debo Samuel deep as well. So he's really found he's doing a lot of unexpected things. Debo Samuel's never been a deep threat. He's going to do that versus the Seahawks. Expect the Cardinals in this game to try to shut down Brandon Ayuk down the field, and expect Kyle Shanahan to counter that with putting Deebo Samuel down the field and expect a few deep shots to Deebo Samuel being taken in this game. And I also kind of compare his offense the last few weeks to like earlier in the season. I feel like his offense was more rock and roll. It was bang bang. It was a lot more choppy. He's really figured it out the last few weeks, and it's more like jazz. It's pitch to McCaffrey here, deep to Deebo. That's kind of a corny analogy, but I do kind of compare it to jazz and rock and roll, and that's kind of my way of comparing the two offenses from earlier and then right now what he's doing right now. And again, Cardinals 4.5 yards per carry allowed to running back. So I don't expect the Cardinals defense to get anything going against the Niners. Do expect maybe the Niners to start off a little bit slow like they usually do in games, but I do still expect them to get over 30 points in this game. Let's get, though, to the defense, and then we'll get to the injuries because there's quite a few on the Niners injury report. Kyler Murray has played the last few games, and all of the games that he's played, he's at least been sacked 2 times in all of those games. We all know that the Cardinals' offensive line isn't great, so don't expect the Cardinals to really even try to go deep, although the Cardinals do have speedsters that the Niners have to worry about. Rondale Moore is playing in this game. Dortch, their other receiver. They're not super elite receivers, but they're fast. So expect the Cardinals maybe to take a few deep shots, and the Niners need to be ready for that. It's not like the Niners can blitz every single play. They need to contain Kyler Murray, and they also need to watch out for speed on the Cardinals side of things. It's going to be, though, defensively for the Niners, it's going to be a good test because next week they play Lamar Jackson, another mobile quarterback. This week they play Kyler Murray, which I don't consider him as good as Lamar Jackson, but I do consider him a mobile quarterback that the 49ers can kind of get prepared for looking ahead to next week versus the Ravens. So I think that's another thing that you have to take into consideration is look for the Niners to kind of get tested in this game versus Kyler Murray and be better next game versus Lamar Jackson. Big matchup. Cardinals don't have a ton of offensive weapons, but one is Trey McBride, the tight end, versus the 49ers. Now, the 49ers injury report, I have it right here. The 49ers injury report says that Dre Greenlaw is questionable, but he didn't practice 2 out of the 3 days this week. So there's a good chance that Dre Greenlaw does not play. So look for Trey McBride. Unless Warner goes one-on-one every single play versus Trey McBride, he is their number one target. He had 8 catches last game. They were going to him a lot of plays. Trey McBride's an easy guy that the Cardinals can go to because the Cardinals were playing a lot of play action fake and dumping it off to him last week. So expect a big matchup that to watch for and that Cardinals could exploit on the Niners defense is Trey McBride versus a Niners backup linebacker. That's a huge matchup. And again, he can make catches contested over the middle. He made a few catches contested over the middle versus the Steelers 2 weeks ago. Cardinals will also be really rested for this game because they had a bye week in between these 2 games. Cardinals, they had a bye week in between the Steelers and 49ers games. So they're coming fresh. They're coming off of a bye week. Again, they need to contain Kyler Murray because the Steelers didn't, and that's part of the reason why the Steelers got blown out. I wouldn't say if you look back to the Steelers game that the Cardinals played 2 weeks ago, Cardinals actually their defense did pretty well against the Steelers, but that's because Kenny Pickett went out in the first half, I believe it was. And so again, I will reiterate this. Do not worry about the Cardinals defense because they're not very good. I think we'll have their way with them. But getting back to the offense of the Cardinals, with Cliff Kingsbury, they like to do a lot of spread offense. They like to kind of lean more on Kyler Murray. With this offense, Cardinals under Gannon, Jonathan Gannon, I believe his name is, the Cardinals like to play a lot more play action, so look for that. Look for the Cardinals to kind of play off of the run. And the Cardinals have a decent run game. Last time they played, they didn't run the ball a ton, but they do have a run game that have to be afraid of because they have James Conner, because they also have the Michael Carter. They traded for him at the deadline, I believe it was. So you have to respect the Cardinals run game as well as Kyler Murray. So look for this to be a big test. I would say look for the Niners to kind of take pressure a little bit off of their starters in this game. I mean, I don't think the Niners are going to sit their starters halfway through this game, the starters that are playing, but look for the Niners to take maybe McCaffrey out once in a while for an extended period of time and use their backup running back, Jordan Mason. Maybe look for the Niners to use Ronnie Bell a little bit more in this game. Kind of look for the Niners to kind of just rotate backups in more and more because I think they can get this game done without those guys as much in the game, and it's not going to be super, super important. So look for that to happen. I I want to say, I mean, Kyler Murray against the Steelers didn't play great, 13 for 23. So I don't know if he's going to make a super huge throwing impact in this game, but the Niners need to contain him because he can run all over the field, as every Niners fan has known because we play him twice a year. But let's quickly look at the injuries before we get out of here. I don't want to make this breakdown too long because the Niners will win. I'll give you guys my final score answer at the end of this injury section real quick. So we're about done here. 49ers injuries for this week. Eric Armstead is ruled out. Spencer Burford is questionable. Some other big injuries. Javon Hargrave was ruled out. Charvarius Ward is questionable. Trent Williams is unspecified. He didn't practice, I believe it was on Wednesday, but Trent Williams, I don't think it's an injury related thing. So expect him to play. Expect Charvarius Ward. I would say he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, limited participant on Friday. I don't think Charvarius Ward plays in this game. So the Niners will probably roll with Lenore and Ambry Thomas again in this one. That should be a good test because the Niners will really get tested because the Cardinals have a lot of speed receivers in this game. So expect that to be a big thing. Oren Burks ruled out. Obviously, he's out for the year. So that's another one. Aaron Banks is questionable. I would say they sit him as well. He was a non-participant in Thursday's practice, limited participant in Friday's practice. So Niners, I think, are going to sit a lot of guys in this game. And hopefully they'll get it done. I'm confident they will. Go Niners, everyone. Have a good, I guess, when this comes out, when you guys see this, it's going to be Saturday morning. So have a good rest of your Saturday, everyone. And hey, go Niners. I'm already looking forward to the Ravens game, but the Niners still have to get the Cardinals game done. My final prediction for this game, I almost forgot about that. Good thing I remember. Final prediction for this game, 30-21. I don't think it's going to be close during the game. I do expect the Niners to kind of take a lead more towards the beginning of the fourth quarter and the Cardinals to kind of score some garbage time points. I could see it being like 30 to the Niners scoring a lot of points in the second and third quarter. And by the beginning of the fourth, I could see it being like 27 to, 27 to maybe 10. And the Niners and the Cardinals scoring some late points that don't really count. But my final score, 30-21 in this game. Niners get it done. Guys, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you later.